Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us to kick off the new year creatively and productively. Oh my gosh. Question for you guys. Do you have a tip to share on saving content production time? Whether it's audio production, design production, image production, or video production, please share a time-saving tip in the chat. That would be appreciated by the community here. Hi guys, I'm your host, Rachel Elner from Adobe, and we are here together live to level up our creative productivity, and I am here for it. Seems like everyone is here for it. Thanks for joining us. Jade from South Dakota, Silas from Brazil, Jen from Brooklyn, New York, Pallavi from Philadelphia, Sarah from Ibiza, Spain, Vania from Mexico City. Gosh, we've got a global gathering happening right now. Welcome, welcome. Today, we are diving into the world of retail magic where everything from your favorite digital ads to those jaw-dropping store displays comes to life. But how do we keep everything on brand in every format, language, and with personalized touches? Well, luckily, the pros have a secret weapon, streamlined workflows, and a little Firefly-powered spark from Adobe. We will uncover how to turn creative chaos into campaigns that wow customers everywhere, online, in-store, and on social media. All right, so are you ready to jump in? Let's do this. Let's learn how to personalize our retail with content transformation. On today's Creative Productivity, we'll learn how to fast-track content production for personalized retail. And we'll learn it all from Ben Vanderberg, Director of Technical Evangelism at Adobe. If you have any questions for us during today's show, just pop them into the On24 question mailbox located at the top right-hand side of your screen. And if you're tuning in with us on LinkedIn Live, you can put your questions right into that chat bar. If you want more information while you're joining us in On24, just check out the Resources tab. Underneath my video, it's in that cute little book icon, and you can get a deeper dive. Okay, so what are some of the amazing tips to help save content production time? Naveed has shared that by having certain themes, design styles, etc. predetermined, that really helps. Randy is responding by using previous file formats or templates for new projects. Templates and file formats definitely help. And Jade said knowing your brand inside and out really takes a lot of the guesswork out of a lot of things. And I totally agree. Very cool. Thank you so much for sharing. So let's learn about ways to cut production time that can amplify your team's proficiency. Here's our guide, Ben Vanderberg. Hey, Ben.
Hey there. Hey, how's it going?
Hey. Good. Happy New Year. I'm so happy to see you.
Happy New Year. And there's so many exciting things that we could be sharing for this new year for people to be able to work with.
Oh, I'm so excited. All right, so let's talk about retail. For global retail brands, and so this is like a genuine question for me. I mean, how difficult is it for teams to maintain multiple formats and local languages across wayfinding, print, and digital channels in all the stores and online?
Well, I mean, it's a multiplication problem. I think for a lot of different retailers, every time there's a new device or iPhone or tablet or some sort of new thing that comes out, people get excited, and also it creates a little bit of anxiety for retailers because of that multiplication. So now you're not just doing it to one channel; you're having to do it to multiple. Have to create different size and dimensions for different variations of channels. Print, web, mobile, social media. Different types of social media and different sizes. So that actual multiplication, and then taking into account languages, taking into account those different, and even regionalizing things to specific areas, that just starts multiplying the amount of different variations you need to do as part of a campaign, which makes that difficult because that means increased budget, but it also just the increased time and volume that you need to create means more people, means more time. And by the time, and with the limited capacity, you might then go, well, now we have to do the next campaign. And so it creates a lot of that strain.
Yes, I know. I'm just tired thinking about all the production that has to be done on all these assets. So, what is the benefit of developing on brand personal messages for marketing in the retail vertical?
Well, if you think about things like social media, one of the things is that you have to have constantly fresh content, otherwise it gets stale. I'm sure many of us have gone on onto our device, and if you've seen that ad come up over and over again, then you go, I've seen this, and you just skip over it. So the more fresh content that you can produce, that's more personalized and relevant to different audiences, and that is fresh, that means that can mean better conversion. It can mean more compelling content, but then that also means that then potentially you're helping meet the customer where they are with the stuff that they that is relevant to them, and with things like Firefly services and some of those things, it's being able to help do that without breaking the bank.
Oh gosh, I really love this. It's almost like a Netflix or like an Amazon have building a campaign that really personalizes towards someone's buying habits and their preferences. Got it. Okay. What other industries or use cases could adopt the solution that you're about to show us?
Oh, geez. Everyone. But a couple examples on that one is recently we were working with companies like brands like Gatorade. You know, they were taking things like Firefly services and creating more personalized experiences to personalize your own Gatorade bottles and things like that, which is a super, super cool example that you wouldn't be able to do at the scale, that sort of scale, without some sort of tools to help be able to automate that with things like Firefly services. And then even if you look at things like Adobe Max, you know, that is a big conference, and you have over 100 speakers. And once again, you have different social channels, you have different speakers, you have posters, you have all this stuff that needs to be created, and these variations that is thousands and thousands and thousands of different pieces of content that need to be processed, optimized, and then create those variations. And then another one would be also even like media and entertainment, where if you imagine the fact with media and entertainment, you have broadcast, you have web, you have online, you have your Apple TVs or any of the Roku and things like that on television. So all those sorts of different types of content that then you need to do to promote a new show or things like that. All those variations are things that could take advantage of that. By the way, for people who are going to be going to NRF next week in New York, which is a massive retail show at the Javits Center, we are going to be there. I'm going to be there as well. So if you're there, please stop by the booth because it'd be great to talk to you as well.
Excellent. Great. I cannot wait to jump into it. But before we jump in, just a quick note to everybody who is in the room. We've got Adobe Pros on standby in the On24 question mailbox or in the chat on LinkedIn Live. Just add your inquiries and you'll get an expert answer, or I'll prompt your question to resident expert Ben. So let's get started with the workflow. Ben, let's get into it.
All right, great. So what we're going to do today is we're going to walk through 3 different challenges within retail. We're going to see how we can solve some of those different challenges within here. So to start off here as part of this, one of the things that we'll see is that I have a number of different images inside of here of new products that, let's say, we want to then put up onto our going to be offering in our retail stores, going to be offering online in our storefronts, and even third-party different storefronts as well. And you'll notice as we look at these, sometimes we don't always have control of the different images and how they were created and shot. So you see different backgrounds. Some of them are off center, some of them are center, some of them are white, and we need to normalize these for the right different channels that we're going to produce there. And so if we look at that, like let's say we have our online storefront here, you you might need to create a white background version, which is very, very common. So we want to be able to remove the backgrounds on that. But also, if you look at seasonality, you have different seasons that you might want to freshen that up with different backgrounds for, say, like the holidays or Valentine's Day or Easter, Halloween, etc. So a lot of times you might want to place that in new scenes, but having to go back and try to reshoot those can sometimes be cost prohibitive or just be limited because you don't have the means to be able to do that. So that becomes a big thing that oftentimes can be very tedious to do a lot of that. And the other thing about that is that if you're looking at different channels, or different storefronts, or different websites, there's different sizes. Some of them are square. Some of them might be slightly different. Some of them might be wide. And again, then when you get into social media, there's different sizes and dimensions. So you need to create those different sizes and dimensions to be able to help you. Again, multiplication, multiple different variations to create that. So what we can do to help ourselves with this is we're going to use Adobe Firefly Services, which is our APIs that allow you to be able to use Photoshop, Lightroom, Firefly, InDesign, and those different APIs to be able to create automated workflows. And in this example here, to help us, we're doing an automated workflow that's going to do a number of the common tasks we do with these images, like creating a product crop. So cropping it down to just the image so that whether it's off center or center, it's going to help us with that. Remove the background, and place it into the right scenes, create masks, generate background images, and so forth. And to show you a little bit of what this actually looks like, just while this is processing here, I can tell you that if we take the different source images in here, this automated workflow, it's going to take that, it's going to crop those images down into the different sizes, down to the specific product inside of there. It's then going to take that, it's going to create versions that have the remove background. It's going to also create a version that generates a background using Firefly. It's going to then take those, also create one that's a white background. We can change the different dimensions of that and then export that in the different formats that we need, whether that is like a PNG or a JPEG or even a Photoshop file. So it's still editable, that creatives can do last mile edits on those different images and then place that into where we want those product images to get stored, whether that's in our DAM like AEM Assets or Frame.io or wherever we want that to get stored. So what that ends up looking like is, if we look at these as the original source images, again, different dimensions, different angles, like the one that we have here, we're then taking that and we are now then, it is cropping those down to the appropriate size of just the actual product. So helping us normalize it to just the product. It did all of these automatically. But not only that, it creates the variation that also is that removes the background. So now we have all the different variations inside of here with the background removed. Now, automation is always something that sometimes you have to make a couple of tweaks, but notice here that this is a Photoshop file. So we can still have that be something that we can then go in and edit, because all the layers and things like that can be retained in the images that we automate within here. So we can see, if I open up, say, Photoshop here, we can see that we still have that mask available for us to be able to make tweaks last mile as a creative there. So super helpful in that regard. So now, if I go back here, the other thing that I can also do is generate those different backgrounds. So it's using generative fill within Photoshop to generate the different backgrounds. This was, I told it to generate it with some hiking sort of imagery in the background. And you can see all those different variations that were created there, as well as, sure enough, the ones that are with the white backgrounds too. So again, all these different variations, we're able to create an automated flow that created all of those for me to be able to quickly create, to have all of those that I could use for my different channels, for my storefronts, or for the different asks that people might have as variations on that. So super helpful there. So Then that brings us to the second problem. Well, now we have a whole bunch of content for our different products, but now we need to create a bunch of different variations of content, let's say for social media, for our website, and so forth. And so what we can do to help us with that is we can use tools like Photoshop and InDesign to help streamline some of that. So just to give you an idea here, inside of Photoshop, I can actually create a template for me to take any of those images that we created or generated before, and put in, say, different headlines. So I might have a set of approved headlines, or I might even use something like an LLM like ChatGPT or other tools to help create some of those headlines. And what we can do is we can merge that information into these templates and even merge different languages. So you might want to create the ones for English, for German, for Spanish, and so forth, and merge that into there, as well as change out the background with our different product images to create those fresh different variations. So once again, what this is going to do is it's a flow that's using our Photoshop APIs that's going to replace the text layers, replace the background image that's a smart object, and then generate those products out. And so just to kind of visualize this a little bit as it processes, we're taking that original Photoshop template. We are then creating the different variations, and it's going to replace the text for those different spots that we have on there. Then it's going to replace the objects of the background so that we now have our different product images in there that we've created all those different variations that, once again, still we're able to have as Photoshop files, so it's entirely editable. We can, or any of the formats that we'd like, that then we can send it into the destination that we want to. So once again, if I then now look at the outputs of these, we can see all of our different variations that were created, not just in English, but also in German, as well as in Spanish. And if I have a look at any one of these, and let's say I open up this one here, we'll see that inside of Photoshop, this is still entirely editable. So any of those different elements, I can still make any last mile changes on this. This is super powerful because so often when people think about things with automation, it's so destructive because it is, just creating a JPEG or just creating a PNG. But this is still in the format of what you want to be able to still edit as a designer. But that's also not just with digital stuff, because you can also do it with print-related content. So for example, here, I have an InDesign file that I've created here, and we have our InDesign APIs that allow you to be able to merge data and images to create different variations of content based on your data. So let's say, for example, we have these cards that we want to have inside of our retail store that will be by the product that is going to have a picture of the image, a description, as well as the SKU and the price. And what you can do is inside of InDesign, you can use the data merge feature to put tags into the appropriate spots based on a CSV file. And then you can use that with the InDesign APIs to then automatically create those different variations. And so what this is doing is, let's say you have the data from your PIM system or your product information management system that you have that you're then pushing in there to then pull out for any of the new products that you then want to then put into that InDesign template. You can then take that and then have that go and merge into those different variations that you could then have absolutely print ready with everything that you need to be print focused, and then finally take that and have that as the different outputs that you need that and then push those out. So then what that looks like is then we have our different print variations like we see here, so that those are ready for us to be able to deliver directly to the printer. And we could also even do that in different languages and so forth. Which then brings us to our final challenge, which is creating seasonal refresh. So if you think of a brick and mortar retail store, you have a lot of different posters. We just finished things like the holiday seasons. Now we're on to things like Valentine's Day. So you have to take down all those different variations, put some new stuff up on there, and we need to do that for different stores because you might have different verbiage, different language for different stores and different products. So with InDesign, the InDesign APIs within there, we can take our different templates that we have for different size and dimensions, whether they're for digital or for print. So we see A4, A3, and so forth. And we can then use InDesign templates like this template that we have here to then create our different variations. So based on that data, we'll have all of our different product images and the content that will go into the top and the bottom parts of this. That then our outputs are going to create those different variations that we have that once again can go to the printer so that we have everything that we need to deliver to each of our different retail stores. And so that's just a powerful way that you can take and create multiple different variations, whether you're doing it for web, whether you're doing it for print, mobile, social, and so forth, creating all the different content at scale. And here we can see, just as a challenge, we just in a few minutes, we're able to solve some of the product and variations, creating the different variations of content and merging data to create that fresh, personalized content, and then also even doing that in retail stores with print-based content. Super powerful at scale and truly creates an amazing content lifecycle. So with that, I'll pass it back to Rachel. Thank you.
Ben, that is totally mind-blowing. You can do so much personalization and also time savings on all the production. Folks, drop your burning questions for Ben and the Adobe experts into the question mailbox or into the chat. And before Ben comes back to address your questions, let's take the temperature of the room and just see how jazzed you are about what we've learned so far. In On24, you'll see a poll pop up. Just give it a click and let us know if you want to learn more about how Firefly services can help your teams with efficient, creative workflows. For our LinkedIn Live pals, unfortunately, there's no poll, but don't feel left out. Just register for our upcoming shows to get the full interactive experience at adobecreativeteam.work/digital events. During the demo, we had some amazing conversation. It's great to hear everyone. I see that we love the InDesign integration. Super excited about that. And there's a lot of questions getting popped in already. Thank you so much for contributing to that poll. We appreciate your clicks. Now, let's welcome Ben back to answer those questions. Just can't wait to dive into it. We have some great questions. Hi, Ben.
Hey there.
Oh my gosh, can this tool do a lot? I mean, I just was like, wow, 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 wow. It was nonstop for me. So I wanted to say thank you so much for your time, your generosity. We definitely have some questions coming in. Jake is wondering, when generating images in these processes, can we customize the color schemes to match our brand identity?
Oh, great question. And the answer is yes. So when you generate using Firefly, there's things like what we call style references, structure or composition references. So style references is you can upload an image and Firefly will use that to influence how it creates things. So that can help you align closer to your brand style. There's also structure or composition reference, which is you can use that. So if you specifically want something to get generated on like the right side or in a certain shape and things like that, you can use that to help inform, to tell it what you're looking for. And the other thing that we also have is we have what's called custom models, which allows you to be able to take your brand content and train a custom model specifically on your brand so you can create brand specific content.
Great. Thank you so much, Jake, for asking that question. Just quickly in the chat, Deborah saying, this is very interesting. I work with a lot of variable data. All right. Thank you, Deborah. Some questions coming in. Kim is asking, do you have any best practice recommendations for localizing content with Firefly?
Good question. So, a couple of things. First off, Firefly does natively actually do some localization based on where the user is coming from. So, for example, if you're in the US versus in Japan, it actually does change some of the different outputs. And we do expose that as part of our API because sometimes people want to localize the output that way there. Now, if you're also looking at like the text and that sort of thing that you're trying to localize, a lot of times, sometimes people use separate agencies to do like the localizing to specific language that you can merge into there. Some people use LLMs like ChatGPT and other tools to be able to use that as a basis to be able to translate. So those are some other some tips that I would probably say to look at to help with some of those localization things.
Great. Thank you, Kim, for asking. Javier is wondering, is there a way to automate the metadata creation for these assets?
Yes.
That's a good question.
So, yes, certainly. I'm a total metadata nerd. So what we have as part of our APIs is the ability to be able to also edit the XMP metadata. So if you do, as part of that, want to then merge and put in things like your keywords, your title, and that sort of information in there, you can do that. The other thing that also happens when you generate something with Firefly is there's something embedded into images which is called content credentials, which is actually it's almost like a nutrition label for your AI generated content, so that if you want to look up to see, how whether this was created using AI, that is incorporated in there, and you can look at that as and verify that on the Content Credentials website. Also, what you can do is there's things like content tagging API, which can intelligently, you can drop it in and it'll give you back information like some of the keywords that it thinks would be right for that image, and even like some of the predominant colors, which can help with automation, but also help with tagging for things like metadata.
Great. Thank you, Javier, for asking. It's a great question. And Chris is wondering, do you have any examples of how a team not in a retail setting might be able to utilize this service to its fullest?
Sorry, could you repeat the question just one more time,
That's
please?
that's a very open question. Chris is wondering, do you have any examples of how a team, maybe an example of a team that's using it right now, not in a retail setting, is able to use this service to its fullest?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that there's different ways that people incorporate this in, particularly as teams. Sometimes it might be they use tools, some low-code tools that they might already have, whether that's things like, say, Workfront Fusion, like Microsoft Power Automate or things like that. Those are tools that a lot of people have, and they incorporate it in that way so that you can access those within different tools. Sometimes people do it through creating little mini web apps that they use internally for that, or create different automated scripts that are triggered when you drop onto things. I would say a lot of times it really depends on the different preferences of how people work. But as for different use cases of how people are also using this, I've seen it where people are using it with and integrating into their collaboration applications. I've seen it where they are triggering it as part of maybe when they upload to a certain website, then it automatically does that before it even gets to you. There's a lot of different ways you can incorporate it, and our customers have been doing it in a lot of different ways.
Great. Thank you, Ben. It was great learning from you. Those are a lot of not only great questions, but great examples on how we can use this that is not in a retail setting and also for retail settings. We will see you next time, Ben. Thanks for sharing all the great knowledge. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Guys, I hope you found this time valuable for you and your teams. Thank you so much to our spectacular demo artist, Ben Vanderberg. And On24 folks, please stick around to complete the post-event survey for a chance to win a $50 gift card. We would love to see everyone back here for our upcoming shows. Just register at adobecreativeteam.work/digital events. Thank you so much for streaming with us and connecting with the creative community to help level up our creative productivity. Again, I'm your host, Rachel Elnar, and let's keep working better together. Take care, stay safe, and see you next time. Bye-bye.